Global wage growth, though, slowed to just 2% in 2013 and is yet to return to pre-crisis levels around 3%. This, according to the latest report from the International Labour Organization. The ILO's global wage report shows average real pay in developed economies. This is the point here. Average real pay in developed economies rose just 0.2% last year. Workers in several major economies, including Japan and the UK, earned less in 2013 than in 2007. The organisation was clear on the cause of the problem. They blamed it on corporations for sitting on profits. Patrick Belser, who is a senior economist at the ILO, joins us now to discuss. He's on the phone from Geneva. Patrick, thanks very much indeed for finding the time to talk to us today. Just tell us a little bit about these corporates hanging on to their money and not actually passing it down to the workforce.
Well, good morning. First of all, I think I would say put this comment into perspective. Clearly, the absence of growth in wages is due first and foremost to the economic crisis, the slow recovery. But it's true that what we see also is that in various countries, labor productivity has increased in recent years, and yet wages have been flat. And this is what triggered this comment yesterday.
Why in economies that are growing between 2.5% and 3.5%, so ostensibly are back to pre-2008 economic conditions, namely the United States, the United Kingdom, why are we seeing next to no wage growth in these economies? Can we just blame it on the corporates or their migration issues or something else?
No, well, what we see is that people are working shorter hours, that there's more part-time work. We've seen also half of the people in OECD countries having actually pay cuts in real terms. And these, together with the productivity trends, account for this slow growth, or almost absent growth, we should say.
Do you think the phrase labour market flexibility is a byword then for just depression of salaries in the developed world?
Well, certainly what we see is that some countries that have strong labour market institutions like minimum wages and collective bargaining have a closer relationship between productivity and wage growth. This is the case of Nordic countries, for example, in Europe, and of those countries where a significant share of workers are covered by collective agreements. This is really the place where workers and employers can negotiate wage growth based on the productivity figures.
And yet the message that we largely get through the IMF and increasingly from Brussels is that the peripheral economies in Europe should be breaking down some of these collective agreements that prevent people working longer hours or indeed working later in their life.
Well, it's true that in some countries before the crisis there was a disconnect between wages and productivity, but it went the other way around, in the sense that wages were increasing more rapidly than productivity. Yet all these changes, these structural changes to collective bargaining systems have had the effect of weakening the collective bargaining quite massively. And the OECD also says now that the downward adjustment in wages should be stopped in these economies.
Patrick, just very briefly, this is a sort of hot nugget. Are we undoing globalization? Has globalization been kicked into reverse?
Well, that's a real difficult question. What we see in our report is that wages are growing really, really fast in emerging economies over the last 15 years, particularly China, where it's been growing 10% in real terms per year. And certainly we see a sort of a catching up of wages in emerging economies with those in advanced countries that stagnate. So what we're likely to see in the medium term is a different form of globalization, with China probably moving up in terms of the products that are produced towards technology-intensive products and creating a different form of competition to advanced economies.
Patrick, I think we'll leave it there for the moment, but thank you very much indeed for joining us and sharing your research. It's an absolutely fascinating debate versus wages versus more jobs, and if they two are correlated or actually against each other. Thank you very much for that, Patrick Belser, Senior